Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to 3304. This is where I take a look at the news and happenings in and around Elite Dangerous. New changes coming to the creation of player factions, the Frontier bosses get interviewed, and there's a rather special expedition coming up from the organisers of Distant Worlds. So then, you may have noticed this video is slightly delayed, and some of the info here might be a little outdated. Things got a bit turned around yesterday. I wasn't able to get the video out in time, but I hope either way you still enjoy the video as much as always and find it as useful as ever. So on with the video then. Oh, and yes, if you can hear a bit of noise in the background, a slight buzzing sound, that's because I've got a fan running in here. Now the mic shouldn't pick it up too much, but it's a bit of a heat wave over here in the UK. Very, very hot in this room, so keeping the fan going, otherwise I'm just going to be sweating buckets. Now, last week, Frontier issued a point release update for Elite Dangerous, which was update 3.1.3, and it contained a number of fixes to ongoing problems. These included fixes to ships' AI, where they were incorrectly attacking each other. A fix also went in for the Thargoid massacre missions, which were not spawning the associated USSs, and that's been there for quite a while. I've seen a lot of people actually pointing that out. PvP bounties were also fixed, where faction bounties were being issued instead of power bounties. Now there are still a number of other outstanding issues. After all, there was quite a lot of bugs that arrived with Chapter 2, so it's going to be interesting to see how many more point releases Frontier release over the next coming weeks. Last week, Community Manager Will Flanagan posted an update regarding the backlog of player-created factions. Now, the update came in response to continued complaints from the community regarding the excessively slow process of getting these player factions created. Ultimately, this highlighted a particularly problematic issue. One forum poster explained how their request for a player group had taken over a year without any successful results. During this period, the player had contacted Frontier multiple times, sometimes receiving replies and other times not, and all this was documented there in the forum thread. However, even after a year, the application had not been fulfilled by Frontier, and this, it seems, is far from a unique story. However, all that said, Frontier now say that this is going to change very, very soon, as they do have a new system in the works for player group creation. Right now, it turns out the process is entirely manual. I think we've known that for quite a while. However, it will soon be moving over to a semi-automated process. Now, details on exactly how this process will work are very vague, so whether it's an automated process from a website or whether that will work somehow from within the game itself, we're going to have to wait and see. However, there are some suspicions that it will somehow be connected to the new squadron creation. And that's coming in Chapter 4, so hopefully we're going to hear more details on this very, very soon. Internet publication MCV recently had an interview with Frontier development bosses David Braben, Johnny Watts and David Walsh. Now, whilst most of the interview wasn't specific to Elite Dangerous, it was nonetheless a very interesting read, and yes, there is some Elite Dangerous content in there, as well as stuff relating to Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Coaster. Now, of special note is that Frontier plan on releasing further expansions for each of their current 3 games. Much of the interview discussed Frontier's current position, both in terms of their financials as well as resources, and it turns out that they are in a very good place indeed, and also willing to put these resources back into their current games. They also mentioned the Tencent purchase of Frontier's stock, where the Chinese giant Tencent actually purchased a 9% stake in Frontier for around 17 million, and they also spoke of the IPO back in 2013, which gained Frontier around £2.8 million, I do believe. Now, Frontier said that whilst some of this money was initially intended to be spent on Elite Dangerous, however the game had been so successful for Frontier that the game was able to fund its own development. It's also worth noting that Frontier Developments currently has a market value of nearly £500 million, that's roughly $650 million. So for now then, the question remains open as to what type of expansion Frontier are talking about for Elite Dangerous. However, at the end of a recent live stream, Frontier did suggest that we pay attention to their social media accounts, as they have a very special announcement on the game very soon. And although I may well be reading a bit too much into it, it would seem such an announcement could well time quite well with Gamescom. The organisers behind the Distant Worlds expedition and the upcoming Distant Worlds 2 have something rather special planned. It's called the Distant Worlds Autumn Odyssey and will be taking place in, yes you guessed it, the autumn, or for you Americans, the fall. More specifically, it will run from the 9th of September until the 25th of November. Currently, the expedition includes 16 waypoints and covers a total distance of just over 73,000 light years, so that's quite a significant way. Here on the screen right now you can see a map of the route. In the video description you can also find a forum thread that contains all the necessary details, and within that thread you will also be able to find a link to the fleet roster where you will be able to sign up for the expedition. So yes, these guys do organise some fantastic expeditions, so this one should be just as good. It's also worth pointing out that this expedition is being sponsored and run by the Deep Space Network as well as the Paradox Wing. So then, that brings us to the end of this episode of 3304. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.